Told you. I don't like saying I told you so about my own team when it's negatively, but I told you. All right, let's talk about it. Hello? The TV is okay. All right, I already know what the title of this video is going to be. It's going to be, "This is why the Pittsburgh Steelers are not a real contender." It's true. I said this last week, and I got flamed by the Steelers Nation. Even though I'm part of it, I got flamed because everyone's like, how can you count out an 8-2 team that's actually playing up to opponents? Because that's exactly why. Because I love Mike Tomlin. I don't want him to be fired. This is not the same, situation that I've felt for the last 5 years. I'll admit that. We're 8-3, granted with a very hard stretch to end the season. But this is the reason why I cannot take Pittsburgh seriously as a contender. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is, doesn't matter who the running back is, doesn't matter who our wide receivers are, doesn't matter who our defensive players are. As long as Mike Tomlin is the head coach, this team will play down to competition. And you can also make the argument like this is a rivalry division game. And, that's a valid point. But also, this is the same team that got their shit knocked by another bottom 10 team in the league in the Saints last week. So, Japes. Shit, I didn't watch. Yeah, don't worry, Japes. Didn't miss much. I'm literally just going to text him right now. Watch my recap instead. That's fine. Watch my recap instead. Recording now. But this is why, and obviously it's not just because of this game, but there were elements of this game that were issues that I've been talking about with Pittsburgh throughout the season that were really, really showing here. And it's something that when we play a Kansas City, when we have to play a Philadelphia in a couple weeks, when we have to play Baltimore again in Baltimore, even Cincinnati, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm really worried about this defense. Our pass coverage is fucking pathetic. In the snow, this should have been an easy I'm a huge Joey Porter defender. I think he's one of the most underrated corners in the league. This was a horrible performance from him. This is, I think, in my opinion, his worst performance as a pro. He got torched by Jerry Jeudy on multiple, if not every single route that Jerry was running. And the funny thing is, this is the same defense that still had, 2 forced fumbles and 2 did we have 2 interceptions? Or maybe it was just a turnover on downs? Let me look at this real quick, because if you just watch the box score, like a lot of people are going to do, which it won't be as many people because this is a primetime game, but people are going to be like, oh, well, if the defense is so bad, then why did they put up, what did we put up? 1 interception and a sack and a fumble. And I can tell you exactly, all right, you're looking at the box score. How about you look at the biggest score of all, the Browns' final score? We allowed this Browns team to score 24 points on us. And the funny thing is, as pathetic as our pass defense was, and it was really pathetic, our run defense is giving it a run for its money for how pathetic they were. We couldn't stop 99-year-old Nick Chubb coming off of his 50th injury. Obviously, all respect to Nick Chubb. I'm not making fun of the man's injuries. I'm more taking shots at the fact that Pittsburgh was not able to stop a running back that the last 3 weeks has been stopped by more inferior, quote-unquote, inferior defenses. And this is why a couple weeks ago I also said Pittsburgh has an overrated defense. And that's not saying that they're a bad defense. It's just they're overrated for how people are like, Pittsburgh's winning their games because their defense is so good and Russell Wilson just is doing the right things. We'll talk about Russ, don't worry. But you're not watching the games unless you're only watching primetime, because this defense is not doing that much. Pittsburgh's going to always play down to competition. I probably could have put my life savings comfortably on the fact, I could have comfortably put my life savings on the Browns spread. I would be 75-25 putting it comfortably on their odds, because this is just something that Pittsburgh does. Now, they'll probably defeat Cleveland when Cleveland comes to Pittsburgh, because that game will be in Pittsburgh. But, this is a game, too, where Pittsburgh was down. It was 18-6, and then within 3 plays, felt like 3 plays, we had the lead again. And those 3 plays being, the first touchdown that got us closer, the fumble, and then the touchdown after that. So it's really frustrating. Now, I don't want to lose my train of thought, though. Speaking of frustrating, Pittsburgh saw something that was working and went away from it, and that is utilizing Justin Fields. I'm not calling for him to be the main starting quarterback. I'm calling for utilization of him, because every time he was in on the game, There was an energy. Even Kirk Herbstreit talked about it. He was like, why does it feel like when Justin's in the game? In the first play, he ran off a 30-yard run. And I know people are going to be like, he can't throw the ball. Honestly, when Justin let it loose, I was like, he's about to prove all you guys wrong. And it was an accurate ball, but George Pickens got taken down. I don't think that was – it could have been called a pass interference, but I think they were both kind of fighting. And also, the Cleveland secondary was doing a really good job of, not playing off pass interference, but just like accidentally interfering. And so if you accidentally interfere – I think refs are going to give you the benefit of the doubt most of the time, but it's just a situation where you're playing the boundary, you don't know where the ball is, and you're just going to kind of block the receiver. And they're doing that to George Pickens. So Justin threw a good ball, and that drive actually is a huge killer. That one it was after the interception. When Pittsburgh did not get the first down on that drive after the interception, I think with like under 4 minutes left, I had a feeling Cleveland was going to win this game. But anyways, let's talk about bullet points, and then we'll talk the game here. So first quarter, Russ sits in the pocket for too long. Fuck, that could be the title of this video. I mean, Myles Garrett alone had 3 sacks in this game. I think the Browns finished the game with 5. But, again, I talked about it last week. One of my big concerns with Russ that is starting to become more noticeable is how he's too patient in the pocket. People are, if you're going to be the same person that's going to criticize Justin Fields for being too early to go in the pocket, you have to criticize the fuck out of Russell Wilson for being way too fucking patient in the pocket. I understand patience is a virtue, and it's something that does work in the league, and we've seen it work for the Steelers especially. But, when you're going up against this pass rush, you have to recognize you're getting this. You need to get this ball out 1 to 2.5 seconds max. If you're holding the ball for more than 2.5 seconds, you're getting to the 3-second mark, something's wrong. And even then, when Russ is flushed out of the pocket, he's not throwing it away. There were a couple times where I was like, why are you running or trying to get a yard? I think he lost 2 yards on one play, and I was like, just throw it out of bounds. It was a running back right there. You wouldn't get grounding for that. So his patience is really starting to show, and I'm starting to see why Denver and Seattle fans were so frustrated with him when it came to the pocket, and why he is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the last couple of years, because he creates his own sacks. Connor Hayward. All right, we have 5 fucking tight ends at this point. We don't need to give Connor Hayward any snaps. I swear to God, every time he's in on, again, criticizing the player, not the person. Every time he's in on the field, he's getting flagged. He got flagged 2 times today on the 3 snaps he got, essentially. He got flagged last week for the exact same thing. He's not in sync with anything. He's also 6'2", so he's my height. But he's 6'2", which is small for a tight end. He's not necessarily a utility tight end known for his blocking. He's just he feels like a special teams guy. But if you also fucking have Mount Washington, who is 6'7", a zillion pounds, you got Pat Freiermuth, who's 6'5", and you've got I'm going to be completely honest. I don't remember number 81's name. I really should, but you can see he's had a couple of noteworthy plays. But he's also, I think he's 6'6". If you these 3 massive fucking guys, why are we bringing in no more Connor Hayward, please? Fields. Oh yeah, so we utilized Fields. I'll talk about it more once I'm done with this. But in the first quarter, it was a 4th and 2. I like the aggressiveness overall. Pittsburgh was very aggressive this game, going for it on 4th down, stuff like that. And I'm not going to complain that the fact that we didn't get it, because it's something I've been asking for the last 4 or 5 years. And I would be a total hypocrite if I said, why are we going for it in these situations when we have Boswell? I mean, one, it was a snow game, so there's that factor as well. But, I've been if it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 the last couple of seasons, I've been why aren't we just going for these? And we're doing it, so I'm not going to criticize it. But the first one, it was 4th and 2 in the first quarter. We brought Fields in, loved it. It was super early, so I'm glad that Pittsburgh's utilizing that now. They bring him in, and it's an RPO play. I mean, it looked more like a jet sweep or just a quarterback sweep play. Excuse me. It looked like a quarterback sweep play. And I think this is what we saw last week against the Ravens, and why the Ravens weren't able to convert that 2-point conversion, because there wasn't a pass option in case it fails. And that's when the Ravens are at their best, and that's when an RPO situation or just even a quarterback sweep option is at its best. If you just have a tight end or a receiver there, just in case. There wasn't anyone there, and we turned the ball over on down. So I just didn't know why we would design that play without a pass option, at least. Quarter 2, run defense, I talked about it. Horrible. Dog shit would be a compliment. No pass rush. This isn't even just the second quarter. Entire game, we had 1 sack. This overall pathetic performance by our defense, man. Well, yeah, you intercepted a ball that was air-sailed by Jameis Winston because he thought that the wide receiver was going to run out, and he ran in. Good job. Nick Herbert's fumble, I'll give him that. That was a great play. But everything else, it was overall pathetic. You're not going to beat any of the top teams with this defense. That's what I'm going to say. Oh, yeah. The fuck was the clock management, Mike? it was the 2-minute warning. What the fuck? It was 1:27 left on the clock. You let them tick it down to 43 seconds, and then we couldn't do jack nor shit with it going to half when they were going to get the ball. It was horrible. Mike Tomlin's never beating the allegations of the two things he has always sucked ass at. Challenges. Anytime Mike Tomlin throws a challenge flag, you know that play is going to stand as is. Or Pittsburgh is not going to get their way. And the other one is clock management. Time clock management. Like, Mike Tomlin's never been good with that. Third quarter, pathetic coverage. I've already talked about it. So, Pittsburgh gets the fumble the first time. Did we have 2 fumbles? Did we have 2 fumbles recovered or 1? I think it was just Herbig. Yeah, it was just Herbig. Anyways, so the Herbig forces the fumble. I was like, all right, let's see what we do with this. Downs. And then I wrote classic Pitt because that's such a thing. Pittsburgh turned it over on downs. We went for it on 4th down and we didn't get it. So we create a turnover and we do jack fucking shit with it. And I'm seeing a consistent thing from the last 5 years. And this is where the situation comes. New OC, successful OC, new quarterback are like fucking 30th by this point. We're starting to seem like the Browns, but new system, new weapons, same fucking results. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's the fact that over the last 5-6 years, if Pittsburgh's defense forces a turnover, the offense can do jack nor shit with it. And I'm not going to let people say that the snow is an excuse here, because these are all things that were happening in the first 2.5 quarters before the snow started coming in the middle of the third. The snow is also not an excuse, because Cleveland was able to fucking move the ball no problem in the 3rd and 4th quarter while it was coming down as hard as can be. I don't want to hear that excuse, but this is where, when I see this common denominator, guess what's been the one common thing over the last 5 or 6 years? The one stable thing about Pittsburgh: head coach. That's where I think head coaching does come into effect. 4th quarter, quarterback switch. I'm gonna say that for later. 2-point conversion play call. I don't know what the fuck our play call was in 2-point conversion. We came out of gun empty with Russ. You were just using Fields. Why not keep Fields in for a 2? You just saw. Okay, I want to go into Fields through this, but I have one more bullet point, which is we got an interception. We turned it into nothing. That was the interception that essentially could have iced the game. No pun intended. And it came out to jack nor shit. So on the 2-point conversion, you have Fields, who, now we're going to talk about Fields, who I'm going to pull up stats. So I'm not just talking out of my ass here, because I think these are things that people who are not aware of these stats need to hear. But you just had Fields, who had a successful series in the red zone that led to the touchdown that Jaylen Warren scored, and you go for 2, but you don't keep the guy in. Why not? Why? What? Okay, interesting choice, because when we look at the red zone here, going into this game, obviously after this game it's going to look better for Justin, but going into this game, Pittsburgh with Justin Fields got a touchdown 50% of the time in the red zone, and Justin Fields had an 86 QBR. Pittsburgh with, I'm so sorry, I'm doing it with the coffee, guys, with Russell Wilson under center in the red zone, touchdown 39% of the time. That's 11% worse than Justin, and an 8 QBR. Russell Wilson has an 8 QBR in the red zone, you guys. 8. Do you guys understand? This isn't on a scale of 1 to 10, because Justin has an 86. Russell has an 8. And those aren't even all the stats that I brought up. So there you go. There's a great, argument for why Justin should be in the red zone. And now let's look at the rest. Russell Wilson in the red zone, 7 for 24, 2 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns to an interception. I'll give that. That's not touchdowns that he scored. That's 4 touchdowns for the Steelers. And an interception, though. And Pittsburgh is averaging a negative EPA for every drop back. So negative. Fields in the red zone, 13 for 19. That's 6 incompletions to Russell's 17. 5.4 yards per attempt. That's more than double of what Russell is doing at 2. 4 total touchdowns, the exact same as Russell without the interception. 5 rushing touchdowns, by the way. So that's 4 touchdowns from the Steelers with 5 from Fields. That's 9 touchdowns alone. Yeah, you thought I had you, huh? Oh, there's the same amount of touchdowns as Russell. No, Pittsburgh has 5 more touchdowns with Justin in, and we have a plus 0.26 EPA, which is essentially 1 point EPA swing. Justin should be in the red zone. I know Pittsburgh did get a touchdown to Calvin Austin, where Russ just threw it on a fucking line. to him. I think from like the 27 though, so we weren't in the red zone yet. But from now on, you can't put if Pittsburgh wants to win a Super Bowl, or Pittsburgh wants to win a playoff game, you will take Russ out every time you go into the red zone because it changes everything. The first touchdown Pittsburgh got in this game was because, and this isn't me being like Justin Fields needs to be the starting quarterback. No, I genuinely do think from the 1 yard line to the 21 yard line, that can be Russell. I'm fine with that. Russell's been throwing amazing deep ball occasionally. He hasn't really done it lately. What the fuck? I'm really sorry, guys. He hasn't really done it lately, but he can do it. But the big thing with him for me is he really does know how to just master the offense, even though we did jack nor fucking shit today. But from the 1 to the 21, okay, fine. The second you get into the 20, just needs to be in there for every single reason I just said. The fact that you can have multiple threats in the red zone. I mean, if you just heard me say all of these stats and you still think Russell should be in the red zone, or you just think I'm glazing Justin just to glaze or something, like, you aren't. If you're a Steelers fan, you're not rooting for what's in the best interest of your team. If you're just watching this as like an NFL fan or a fan of a different team, you're just either a hater of the Steelers or you're a hater of Justin Fields, because Justin should be in the red zone. And I'm not going to lie, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. The last two performances are giving Justin a real argument for being the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh next year. Yes, I am serious. Russell has not. Nick, shout out Nick. I love you to death. Nick starts our chat today, for our fantasy football chat, and he says Russ is doing literally everything. I disagree. Russ was putting Pittsburgh in negative play situations because he's taking too many sacks. Now, I'm going to give Russell a little bit of benefit of the doubt here because the running game could not get anything going. So it's hard to open up the pass game, but also when you're holding onto the ball for so long, this is a criticism everyone had with Kenny Pickett. If you're going to criticize Kenny for it, you have to criticize Russell for it as well. I love what Russ has done for this team. He's also making me warm up to him as a person a little bit. But I can also recognize that when Fields is in, Kirk Hershey was right. There is another just different type of energy when he is in this game. And with how the second half of this season goes, man, if Pittsburgh just entered this week 8-2, we're leaving 8-3. I told you last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I think probably both weeks, honestly. Don't be surprised if this team finishes 10-7 or 11-6. And I got flamed for that. People say, "Oh, you think they're only going to win maximum three games for the rest of the way?" Yeah. And if that happens, if Pittsburgh goes 11-6 or 10-7, I think there's a real possibility Justin Fields is a starting quarterback for Pittsburgh next year instead of Russell Wilson. Because, okay, cool. If Russell wins tonight, I think it's a completely different story, because he's 5-0 and Justin's 4-2. Russell's 4-2. Russell's 4-1. Justin is 4-2, and Russell now has to play Cincy, who Pittsburgh should beat, but is a real opponent, and then the rest of the division once more, and then Philadelphia and Kansas City. And I don't think Pittsburgh can get more than 3. Even especially after this performance, I think 11-6 is being generous to this team. Pittsburgh is not going to win this division. I don't even think Pittsburgh can win a playoff game if they look how they did tonight. And I'm good. You know what? TJ Watt got outclassed by Myles Garrett tonight. TJ Watt was a non-factor. And yes, I'm going to also recognize the fact that Cleveland was doing an insane job at locking down TJ. But Pittsburgh is also doing the same thing to Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett got 3 sacks in the first half. So Myles Garrett won tonight. That matchup, I still do believe that TJ is a better player. But, I mean, also, last 2 or 3 weeks, Pittsburgh's defense has not had their guys showing up. Joey Porter's been getting kind of torched lately on a consistent basis. Minka, I can't criticize Minka because, I mean, he even came out and said it himself, you can't be mad at me for not having splash plays because no one's throwing the ball at me. It would be nice to see a forced fumble or an interception, but no one's throwing the ball Minka's way. And then TJ, his sack numbers are a little bit lower this year. Same with Cam Hayward. TJ's tackle for loss. It's so funny because I still think TJ's up there for Defensive Player of the Year, and I'm talking about him like he's having a shit year, But we also have inconsistencies from our secondary. I think that's the biggest thing. We started so strong, and I think Pittsburgh has beat good opponents, like talking about the Justin Fields versus Russell Wilson thing. I do think Justin and Russell, their strength of opponents is kind of equaling out. I mean, Russell started against the Jets, who are looking like one of the 5 worst teams in the league. They then played the Giants, who are also looking like a 5 worst team in the league. And then the Commanders, who are a legit team. Why am I forgetting who else we played? Oh, the Ravens, yeah. And we played the Ravens, that's one good win. Meanwhile, you have Justin, who defeated the Falcons, who, yeah, they were kind of on half of a leg that first week because of the injury, but they're looking fine. I know they just got blown out, but they're looking fine. And then you beat a bad Raiders team. You blew out a bad Raiders team, I should kind of prove. But I mean, also, Russell blew out a bad Jets team. We lost to, in my opinion, the Colts are actually not a bad team when they have Joe Flacco because he's using their weapons. But you lost to a Colts team that's probably going to be in the top 10. And you also lost to a Dallas team that's probably going to be drafting in the top 5. But I guess it was a different team because you had Dak under center and everything. So, there's an argument to be made there. Can't believe I lost that game. Oh, we beat the Chargers, who are a top 10 team, arguably, right now. So, Pittsburgh is still going to be like a top 10-ish team. But I can't take them seriously as contenders because there's way too many glaring issues. Oh, yeah, also, I got flamed right after the Washington game because I didn't agree but I wasn't like hyping up the Mike Williams trade, and he got the game-winning touchdown there. Cool. What's he done since? I saw him on the field 3 times tonight. Calvin Austin is more important to this team than he is. And I'm not complaining because Calvin Austin's been really important to this team this year, genuinely really important. The fact that Russell trusted a 5'9" guy to catch that laser in the end zone, insane. But our offensive line, I just didn't spend any time talking about it because I'd just be a broken record talking about the same thing, which is essentially they're regressing. But I will say it was a fun game to watch. Pittsburgh Cleveland in a snow game. It was fun. I also realized I haven't talked about everything yet. There was no up-tempo in the first half. It's hard to go up-tempo when it's a snow game, obviously. But that first half, Pittsburgh had success with up-tempo, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was the bye. 3 weeks ago. And it set a momentum for us that really worked for us, and it looked good, too. Pittsburgh has just abandoned it since. That's really weird. And then I'm really sorry, you guys. And then I wrote, just because you're a second-half team, it doesn't mean you have to be a shit first-half team. Pittsburgh is a second-half team. I think we can all recognize that. They scored 16 points to their 3 in the first half, Just because you're good in the second half doesn't mean you have to put up a fucking egg. And this has been a thing, again, this is a Tomlin thing. This has been a thing that's been with our team since 2019 when the football gods essentially shifted us from a offensive juggernaut with a pathetic defense to a defensive juggernaut with a pathetic offense. No run game. Talked about that. Cool elements. Can't complain at what I asked for. I do also appreciate, the adjustments that Pittsburgh made, like bringing in Justin in times in the red zone or bringing him in on 4th downs. These are things that fans are asking for, and I know fans are not coaches. Fans are not professionals with the knowledge that professionals have. But, they also do see the game from super far out. Essentially, a lot of fans have an all-22 angle because they buy it. And so fans can point out things that Pittsburgh should be doing. And I'm happy that it's no longer, we know better than the fans or we know better than what most people are saying. And they're doing it, and I like that. So if you're able to adjust like that, that works. But Mike Tomlin said if he ever goes back to Justin, he will not go back to Russ. So Russell will start, in my opinion, for the rest of the season because he's 4-1. People are going to overreact to this game. I've somewhat overreacted in this video a little bit. I don't like what I've seen from Russell the last 2 weeks. It's been worrisome. I mean, you could also argue we played 2 good defenses. We've had the second best pass rusher in the world, and last week we just played an overall good defense. So there is that. But, I mean, Cincinnati has a pretty competent defense as well. And I already know that, they're a competent defense personnel-wise, but they haven't been when it comes to playing. And I already know this is a defense that has been letting up 25-plus for most of their weeks this year, being the Bengals. And I know Pittsburgh's probably going to struggle to put up 20 next week. And it's going to come down to the last second. So I don't have to make this video on a Sunday, which is nice. Would have been nice to have been a W. But there's that. Japes is coming to town this weekend. We're going to go to the Chargers game, which is going to be super fun. So, excuse me. Yeah, there's nothing else really I want to talk about. Just because I've kind of talked about everything already. Oh, I uploaded a video today. I uploaded a short today, like a skit, but it got marked as private for some reason, so it's not public. So that'll be out tomorrow. And in that video, I talked about how the Browns it's the bottom 5 basement. I talked about how the Browns might escape if they win. So everyone, I already know the comments can be like, "Who's here after the Browns beat the Steelers?" But yeah, man, it's so funny. Just these games that take it out of you. I feel like we're 5-5 right now, but we are 8-3. So I already know that we're gonna finish this stretch and go 10-7. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. I like what I saw from Pittsburgh. I'm at a loss for words. We lost to a team that's high chance of picking in well, not anymore, but had a high chance of picking in the top 5. So yeah, we could have been like a final nail in the coffin, but instead keep them more like 8-10. Maybe we're giving them a worse draft pick so they don't get one of the better players. It's chess, not checkers. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here so I don't keep coughing your guys' ears. Scale will go up tomorrow. I'm so sorry. Appreciate all the love and support lately. Almost to 15K. That's dope as hell. I did not think I would get there when I hit 1,000 in January. So I appreciate and love you guys. Yeah, that's it. I need to go to bed. You guys know how we end these.